layout and formatting of a resume is a very personal choice. Everyone has their own opinion on what looks good and what styles represent them the best. So with that in mind, let me give you just a couple of tips and some guidance to keep in mind as you try to develop your own style. Today in the world, most people still read from top to bottom, left to right. Employers, when they scan resumes, they do the same thing. They start at the top left and they work their way down. If they like what they see in the left, then they continue to the right. If not, they just skip on to the next section. Although it's convention for you to have your name and contact information right at the top, after the header, there are no hard, fast rules on what section should follow. In some instances, maybe education is the best thing to come after the header, especially if you've gone to a prestigious university or taken a very specific program that's relevant to the job. But if you're looking to apply to a job that might be posted on campus where most of your peers will be doing the same, then your education is probably not going to stand out. Everybody's going to be from your school and probably from your program. So unless you have something like a very high GPA, then maybe for you the first section might be your work experience or some of the activities you've done. Regardless, whatever you do, keep in mind the first guiding principle. Lead with your strengths. Have your most important information as far up of the page and far left as possible. At the same time, make sure the information that isn't relevant is further down on the page or on the right-hand side of the page. For example, dates should always be on the right-hand side of the page. Left-hand side is reserved for the transferable skills and your most important strengths. Dates aren't those things, and I don't know anybody that's ever gotten a job offer or an interview because of their dates. In terms of length, resumes can be at most 2 pages. Most people will suggest to have it on 1, and in some industries like banking, 1 is definitely the expected norm. But for me, if you have enough information, don't undersell yourself. Now, if you are going to use 2 pages, you need to make sure each one of the pages has at least 80% of content. They need to be kind of full. So if your second page is only half a page, it looks a little weak. There you have 2 choices. You either go back and try to expand your resume, adding some old information that hopefully is still relevant, or try to squeeze everything down onto 1 page. One trick you can use, though, is to make sure you use all of the page. Reduce the margins, both the top and bottom and left and right, so that you use as much of the line as possible and hopefully reduce the opportunity where you have just simply 1 or 2 words filling up a line. That's a real big waste of space. White space is important, but it's more important to have white space in between sections than around the outside of the page. You can manipulate the font sizes if you want to, but try to stick to 10 or 11 point font if possible. And there's no need for this line called references available upon request. That's a very old school phrase. Now, if employers ask you for references, that's probably a good sign, and I'm sure you're going to want to give them, so there's no need to waste the line to explicitly tell them, yes, you can ask me for references. And finally, if you're going to send your resume electronically, and these days that's becoming more and more common, whether you're uploading it to a website or sending it through email, make sure you put it in PDF format. Converting your document to PDF allows it to preserve the formatting, which means that whatever you see on your screen is guaranteed to be the same as what I see when I will open up your resume. There are a lot of free tools that you can use to do conversions of PDFs. One that I like a lot is something called Cute PDF Writer that you can download. Whatever formats you do choose to use, make sure your formatting, your fonts, your subtitles are consistent. When you're reading up to 100 resumes a day, these small things are really noticeable. Things like weird spacing, misalignment, or multiple use of fonts really stand out, and employers are looking for every excuse to spend less time on yours and move on to the next resume. So don't give them that opportunity. Be consistent. In the next clip, we'll start to talk a little about the content and how to write good bullets.